This comment reads, people also forget or don't want to remember or know is that the blacks sold their own and that the Irish were some of the first slaves. The women and children were stolen from their land. Let's break this down with history because this kind of claim twists facts to erase real oppression. Yes, some African kingdoms did participate in capturing and selling people. But this wasn't the race-based chattel slavery that defined the transatlantic slave trade. The system we call slavery in the Americas was invented and expanded by European colonizers. They're the ones who controlled the ships, the money, and the colonies. So here's the real context. The transatlantic slave trade was a massive enterprise driven by European powers: Britain, Portugal, Spain, France, and the Netherlands. They needed forced labor to build plantations, mines, and colonies that generated vast wealth for them. To keep the system profitable, Europeans created a brutal legal structure where black people were property for life, their children born enslaved too. This racialized, hereditary slavery was unique and unprecedented. Now let's talk about the Irish. Yes, many Irish people were forcibly sent to work in the colonies, often as indentured servants. It was terrible and exploitive. But indentured servitude had a contract length, after which people were free. It wasn't based on race, and it wasn't permanent. Irish people could, and often did, become landowners and join white society. Black people were legally excluded from these rights. And the women and children stolen? Whether African or Irish, families were torn apart. That's part of colonial violence everywhere. But the scale of the African forced migration, which was over 12 million people, and the generational brutality of chattel slavery is unmatched in human history. Why does this matter? Because these half-truths and false equivalencies are used to minimize black suffering and protect the legacy of white supremacy. The Atlantic slave trade couldn't have existed without European colonialism, capitalism, and racism. Africans involved were often coerced or incentivized by the system, not the architects of it. So next time someone says the blacks sold their own or the Irish were the first slaves, remember this. Slavery is a system created and enforced by power, profit, and race-based oppression. It's not a story of equal suffering. It's a story of who had power and who was robbed of it. We need to face the whole truth if we want to build a better future.